I'm joined today by Alicia Rose, the director of Work in Progress feature documentary MENOPUNKS. And I've got to say, when I first saw that word appear on the internet, I was like, yes, algorithm, you've done your work, you've found your people. I hadn't heard that term before, but it just so beautifully sums up my identity right now. So, so thank you for that.
Oh
And
my
welcome,
God.
Alicia.
Thank you so much for having me, Cassie. Yeah, it sums up my identity as well. It's funny, I think ADHD has given me something, which is the ability to be very neo-dualistic. I'm very good at naming things for some bizarre reason, and talking about things in weird ways. And menopunks came from sort of my revelation that menopause doctors, menopause specialists, and punks were in the same boat. We're all screwed. So I was like, oh, we're together. We're all on the front lines of bullshit. It's menopunks. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. But now that that happened in March, and now since then, the film has just like, I mean, honestly, it's like a rocket fuel situation because I think people like you really identify with that, and suddenly, in like a climate where we are, made to feel lesser than, we have a new, stronger way to identify and to become a community. And I think Metapunks, even though it is a film, a work in progress, feature documentary, it's also turning into a movement of feminism, of progress, of power, of reclamation, of health, of truth about midlife care and HRT. There's just so much bullshit out there that I think, as weird as coming up with something like Metapunks is, it's making sense and people get it. Anything I think that you can sort of relate to in one word and just like three syllables, you're cooking with gas, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and interesting as well that you brought in the neurodivergence kind of Venn diagram as well. That yeah, so many of us are kind of right at the epicenter of all of those factors combined and colliding. So
Absolutely.
you was your main impetus for the film was kind of raising awareness of the health inf misinformation that that is prevalent in the US. We have a similar situation over here in the UK, but just explain a little bit about the that cancer link that was being brought up in the US.
Yeah, so well, first, Metapunks, to give you the quick log lines, people who are listening might want to know what the film is about, and then I'll jump into that. Metapunks, here's my log line, is a misinformation shattering feature documentary about perimenopause and menopause and the creative process, very important. Seen through the lens of defiant Gen X indie musicians, trailblazing doctors, and very cranky and opinionated celebrity culture bearers. So, here's the thing. I'm 55. 2 years ago, I mean, and for like 5 years before that, I was suffering really badly from perimenopause and menopause. Frankly, I didn't even know what was going on with my body for part of it. I thought I had hip dysplasia or hip cancer. I couldn't stand up really. I couldn't be upright for band practice longer than 10 minutes. I had to have a comfy stool to do anything. I couldn't go to shows and not sit down. I mean, I was like, I'm not 80, like for God's sake, I'm 55. So I didn't know what was going on, and eventually started to figure it out, but I had to really, like most women, advocate for myself over and over again until finally I basically sort of hacked Kaiser, which is one of the medical providers here in the States, and I called telehealth, and I was like, I cited the words quality of life, and it got me my initial round of hormones about 2 years ago. But once I got into that and I started taking them, and I generally started feeling so much better, I was like, what? Wait a minute. My doctor didn't want to prescribe these because she said that they had the potential to cause blood clots and cancer and all this stuff, but yet I feel great. And I started looking into, do hormones cause breast cancer? And it seemed like it was really sort of cloudy as to what the answer was, right? It was sort of filled with chaos. Like maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe the drugs we have now are better. The bioidentical hormones are better than the synthetic that we had then. Maybe it was a misinterpretation. Maybe it was a mistake. Why were we under this impression that HRT caused cancer? Well, I started digging, just like the ADHD Jewish Capricorn witch that I am. I started I started digging, and I really, I found all these articles from, not only the early 90s when the Women's Health Initiative study began, which is how all of this misinformation got started, but in 2002, when the Women's Health Initiative, which if people don't know, was a study that was literally the first time women were included in a real study like this. And over 165,000 women were recruited using the Golden Girls. I just found this out using the motherfucking Golden Girls. So if anybody in the UK is a Golden Girls fan, which I can't imagine they're
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
especially Gen X, they recruited over 165,000 women into this study. And in 1993, when the study began, it was 25% of women were already on HRT. There was a ton of women. There's a lot of women. This is in the States. It's a ton. So the study was going well, going well. In 2002, it got stopped short because they found outlying results that were, quote, non-statistically significant that HRT that these women were taking was causing cancer. However, what happened after that is that those results were released to the press before they were even released to Journal of American Medicine. And because they were released to the press, they went everywhere. What I found out since, and there's been articles since sort of debunking that HRT causes breast cancer, is that the guy who was running the Women's Health Initiative study in 2002, and mind you, this is when George Bush was president, not Clinton, who was the early 90s when the whole thing began. The political climate had changed, and $1 billion had been spent on this study. So the government needed an excuse as to why they'd spent this money, because in 2002, before these sort of cancerous results were released, the answer was that it was sort of nil. Younger women were over the age of 50 were only included in the study. It was actually supposed to be just a cardiovascular study where HRT was used to see how it worked in conjunction with cardiovascular health. Well, women between the ages of 50 and 80 were the women in the study. So they found out that younger women weren't really having any issues taking HRT within 10 years of menopause. But they found out that older women, it was tough for some of them because their bodies had adjusted. And so starting HRT late, because sometimes it wreaked havoc on their systems. So there were some results that came out really negative. So the dude who was running the study, the Women's Health Initiative study, his name is Jacques Rousseau. I'll just say it because, you can Google him. It's not like I know anything that people don't know. He decided to pull those outlying results that were from much older women in a very, very small focus group, or a statistical group. He pulled them forward to be the central results for this so that the government, United States government, and the WHI could go to the press with this sort of we're saving women from themselves narrative. This thing that by 2002, 40% of women were on. Imagine 40% right now of women on HRT. Like that would be pretty amazing. Because just sidebar, do you know how many women are on HRT now in the States compared to that 40%? It's under
No,
5%.
how many?
Under
No
5%. And
way.
this is a growing number that's gotten bigger. It was 1.2, 1.3. We think it's close to 4 because of compounded pharmacies, but like 40% of women were on HRT. So when these results that were literally, you can look it up, non-statistically significant results in a far outlying section of the study were pulled forward to pull focus to this particular narrative, it just created a massive wave of women getting yanked off HRT,
Mm.
taking themselves off HRT, and being afraid that the one thing that made them feel better was going to kill them because it caused cancer. So this narrative that HRT causes cancer got sort of sewn into
Oh.
into the public consciousness in 2002, and unfortunately it's never left. And so we now as Gen X are hitting menopause and perimenopause, and we're getting confronted with the same disinformation. And although there have been actually a lot of articles that have debunked this and people trying to like, Don Quixote the windmills with information about this over and over again, nothing seems to have really changed anything in a larger way. Because let me tell you, I have friends who are, in their 50s getting hip replacements and knee replacements, who are miserable, who don't know what's going on with their bodies, can't sleep, who have autoimmune problems, who have brain fog, who have joint pain. I mean, it's like the list of at
Mm.
least 35 symptoms is so varied. And the fact that perimenopause can start at like 35, sometimes even younger, we've just been sold a whole big bunch of bullshit. And I think Gen X, we're in a very unique position to try to turn that tide.
Absolutely. I mean, this resonates so much with me. I've been, just to give you my story, I've been on HRT for 3 years now, and
Wow.
I've increased the doses recently because I'm really in the thick of it now. I'm 48,
Right.
and it's like we're getting there. We'll be through it soon. But I really need the help, and I ran out of my gel. I ran out of the estrogen gel a week ago, and I then kind of ended up in this cycle of I kept forgetting to go to the chemist to go
Oh
and pick it up,
God.
because I was then in this kind of hormonal hell, and
Crash.
literally in agony from my body. Everything was hurting. I couldn't function. I couldn't work. I'm trying to prepare lessons for students, and I've just got. I feel like I've got this tiny little bit of brain kind of
Oh,
rattling around, and it was,
wow.
yeah. But literally the difference in that hormonal drop, it kind of really hit home to me, what this
Oh,
HRT is doing is allowing me to live and function and do my job, be a
right?
functioning member of society and my family, and and to not be in
I
pain
just
as
think
well.
it's
So it's
yeah.
so shocking that so few women are able to access this
Well, it's
essential.
really bananas, frankly. And for me, like call it a rock and roll stoner moment, but like I look at I look at the fact that 95% of women probably worldwide are not getting relief through HRT, right? 95%, that's a lot of women. And the 5% that are like, how could I live without this, right? So I look at it like, okay, punk rock women, listen up, right? Like we're dealing with governments all over the world. Being full of shit, creating problems where there were not, trying to hold on to the strength of like white male supremacy like never before. The death rattle is ugly, it is loud, and then I think, where are the Gen X women? Where are the millennial women? Where are the people we think should actually be running things, like the AOCs of the world, but on a much larger scale? Where are they? And I'm like, they feel like you without hormones. People are miserable. Their bodies are rebelling against them. They can't think. They can't work. Their lives are like everything falls apart. Their businesses fall apart. Their careers fall apart. It's sort of wild. So here's the thing that kind of blew my mind, right? So I mentioned to you, like, they pulled these results forward. It was intentional, Cassie. The intentional, systemic, systematic disempowerment of women began in this way in 2002, and it never stopped. So we have generations of women that have died, that have been in extreme pain. We, as Gen X millennials, we have our parents in nursing homes with fucking dementia and UTIs, both like very storied, that those are caused, those came from hormone deficiency. So we are dealing now with like boomers who are in the crosshairs of the results of the WHI in 2002. They're now miserable and like creating a huge boom economically for old folks' homes and draining us of money because they were the ones who got hit the hardest. But now we're in the position, and we're also punk, let's be fucking honest. We're not going to take no for an answer. So we're like this whisper network where we're finding out from one another how to deal with it. It's turning into like a raging scream because we will not accept that we can't have this thing that actually it appears will give us quality of life that can return us to our former selves. In fact, like I feel better than I felt at 35. So what the fuck? There's an answer for us. And I think that's really interesting, right? Like there is an answer, which when I found out, oh, wait a second, oh, I can feel better. And actually, that was an intentional lie that got put out into the world through the press, the same press that got 165,000 women enlisted for this study using the Golden Girls. I believe it's the reverse Golden Girls effect that like created such a tidal wave against HRT and was ultimately we saw the vast 95% of women are no longer on it. Some women stayed on, a few people knew. I mean, there's outliers everywhere, and I think we're heading in a better direction now, but we're nowhere near where we need to be. And look, if we're going to change the world to the world we want to live in, we need all of our power right now.
Yay, absolutely. Right, so you're approaching menopause not just as a medical topic, you're approaching it through punk and music
Yeah.
and Gen X riot girl musicians getting on board. So what voices did you feel that you really needed in this story?
Well, it kind of started out as like a film about me and my friends in the Portland scene, who've known each other for 30 years, and are still playing music in our 50s. It's ridiculous. And I'm friends with some pretty amazing people. So, I kind of, for the first round, I brought in five primary participants besides myself who just kind of, honestly are just legendary musicians here in Portland. Corin Tucker from Sleater Kinney, Jody Bliley from Team Dresch and Hazel, also amazing. Kathy Foster from the Thermals and All Girl Summer Fun Band. Jen Spraja from the Softies and All Girl Summer Fun Band. And Gillian Hanner, a legend herself from Calamity Jane, who's a very influential Riot Girl punk band. So these are women that I've literally known since the early 90s. I met Corin at the International Pop Underground Festival in 1991, which was put on by Kill Rock Stars and K Records, like at the very beginning. And I used to book nightclubs in the early 90s when I was just a tiny 21-year-old baby. I booked the Chameleon in San Francisco. And since then, I ran a music distribution company and I booked the Doug Fur in Portland and Mississippi Studios. I've been a music photographer and I make 35 music videos. Like I've been involved with a lot of their lives for a really long time as a filmmaker and as a peer. So I thought, okay, let's hear from these women on not only what they know about menopause, but what they know about HRT and, what is their quality of life like now? And then I thought, well, can we model care through them? So I brought in three amazing menopause specialists who are all in the same age range, also Gen X, Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan, Dr. Andrea Matsumura, and Dr. Nancy Yen Shipley. Nancy is an osteopathic surgeon. Andrea is a sleep doctor, a menopause specialist, and Aoife is a general GP and menopause specialist and women's health specialist. So I thought, how cool would it be to sort of fuse these two together and model care through the movie, as well as modeling the effect that menopause and perimenopause has on our creative process, and then how do we feel if we do get on HRT and does that help us, right? Like we know you and I, Cassie, holy fucking shit, it helped us. Like, I mean, I'm writing songs again. I'm making better music than I've ever made with my band Party Witch. I'm like, I feel like I'm on fire. And my life, I just got married. I grew like 90 dahlias from, scratch, like all these crazy things, right? Like my life is just unbelievable right now. And it wouldn't have been if I couldn't sleep like I couldn't sleep 2 years ago. And my hip was causing me to feel miserable. And I would have been going towards hip replacement because without HRT, which not only like sort of fixes and gets rid of so many, if not all of the symptoms of extreme hormone deficiency, which is hot flashes and palpitations and everything else that we feel pain-wise, joint pain. But it's also so preventative. So you realize once you're on it that like actually it's like restoring the collagen that your joints had suffered from losing. It's helping you build bone. It's helping you like with your lung strength. Basically the stuff that helps us have babies and shit is also the stuff that lets us live and thrive. Because if you think about menopause, the way it was described recently, I think by Dr. Kelly Casperson at this amazing FDA panel where they're trying to remove the black box warning from vaginal estrogen. Everybody look it up. It's kind of fascinating. But she described menopause as basically being the equivalent of castration for men. And I think if you can see it like an extreme hormonal deficiency where you go from kind of like, you're like, you have a fucking bucket of hormones, you are good, we can have babies, our bodies regenerate, we are amazing, we can do all these incredible things, our periods are torture, but they're there for a reason that it's also good. We get restored with these incredible hormones. In perimenopause, we're on this fucking roller coaster. And then in menopause, we're basically deeply castrated. So how do we help
Yeah,
ourselves, right?
put it in those terms, and yeah, maybe the male doctors will start listening.
I mean, if the men like, it's the funny thing is like, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but here there are zero kinds of testosterone that are approved for women, zero. But yet we need it. I use testosterone gel. It's fucking amazing. I have to be careful. It gets me a little roided out. But but like, men have eight or nine kinds of testosterone, how many kinds of Viagra. There's radio ads for men's testosterone constantly, and yet women are still being gaslit out of that and put through the ringer to get that, and honestly, gaslit out of care in general for hormonal
Yeah.
care. It's kind of wild,
Yeah,
but
and it's the
I,
same here. I've got friends who are using testosterone, but yeah, kind of under the radar. It's, you have to buy it in a brown paper bag and to
I
basically
mean,
get
it,
it.
it shouldn't be like that. I mean, here's the thing that I think really made it kind of ring so obvious to me, and something that I really am trying to make a real statement with Menopunks is that gender affirming care is a universal thing. It should not be pulled into only trans healthcare. Trans folks are the most vulnerable, sweetest, most wonderful humans who are just trying to live their true, authentic selves. But gender affirming care is hormonal care, period. When you're taking HRT, it's gender affirming care. And guess what, dudes? When you're taking testosterone, that motherfuckers is gender affirming care. So like we all have to band together to take the mantle of gender affirming care, own it, and have it be a movement for all of us to have free and fair access to, and to also have control over the autonomy of our bodies. It's all connected. We should all have the rights to hormonally optimize our bodies, no matter what gender, to what end. Like, who cares? Like, if I want to feel better with testosterone, I should fucking feel better. Same with estradiol and micronized progesterone.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. It's just you need those hormones to be who you are and to live your life um how you need to live it. I love the mug, by the way. That was a
Oh,
nice little shot of the mug. Excellent merch, excellent t-shirt as well.
I'm such a promo ho Any musicians that are listening will know merch first, music second, and in this case, merch first, movie second. We're fundraising, right? So I've become a total merch like slut. I mean, in the best way, in a Kathleen Hanna way. I just, I'm Jen Spraja, one of our incredible participants. She's in the Softies and All Girls Sober Fun Band. She's also a brilliant graphic designer, and she's like, I have an idea for a logo, and she came up with this amazing logo, and I just love her. And so I was like, well, wow, maybe now I can fundraise with merch, and that's what we're doing. So we sell merch that's all on demand, and I've sold some in the UK and everywhere all over the world. It's kind of mind blowing. Because who doesn't want to wear a t-shirt that says Menopause?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do. And now that I know that I can get them in the UK, that's my next stop
Yeah,
after this interview is
yeah,
looking. So what stage are you at with the film? You're crowdfunding
yeah.
to finish it off.
So we are really in the sort of first third of filmmaking. We have done all of our intake interviews. We have started getting, which means I've talked to all my primary participants and asked them kind of the beginning of where are you at? What do you think? What do you know about menopause? How do you feel physically? How does that affect your creative process? Things like that. I've talked to all my doctors. We've done intake interviews with them. We're starting to film all these different concerts. But now we're at a point where the next phase will see us following some of those participants through getting proper hormonal care. So we're going to model what it looks like for someone who's not on hormones and a very creative person like Jody Bliley or Kathy Foster, who both aren't on hormones, and they're going to start them with one of our participant doctors, and we're going to see how it changes them. How do they feel? Better, worse? Has it helped them in any way? Like both of them have a lot of complaints about energy. Like I think I really related to that. It's like being in a band, it's better if you have energy. Like, like you're gonna write better songs, you're gonna play better shows, you're gonna have more energy just to have fun, which is like half the reason we're all in bands, to just have community and fun. But if you have no energy and you're in pain, it's really hard to do that. So we're going to follow them through that and kind of get into their sort of behind the scenes worlds of what does practicing look like, before and after? What does shows look like before and after? So that's part of kind of the next phase. And then we're also, I've spoken to two incredible whistleblowers. I've only done Zoom interviews so far, but we're hoping to fundraise so I can go to the different places they live to do them on technical camera. But one was an original researcher and scientist at the Women's Health Initiative study. He was there. He saw it all happen. And he told me that, Alicia, two things. Alicia, he's like, when that article came out that was sent to Journal of American Medicine, as well as the press went out about HRT causing breast cancer, he's like, when that went out, they gave it to the researchers without letting us participate at all. like the narrative of those results was taken away from the scientists, and it was done as a purely political thing, and he has the receipts to prove it. That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another guy who's the founder of the North American Menopause Society, where he's like he's written article after article trying to like call for an independent investigation into the shenanigans that went on in the early 2000s, which has never happened. But he's like, Alicia, I think this is immoral and criminal. And both of them think that it's shocking and terrible that women have basically been violated and had their choice removed without them even knowing it for the past 23 years. So that's kind of my angle, is coming at it from, okay, how can I illustrate and like provide the receipts to show people just how fucked up it was and how fucked up it is. And the third part of the film is to take that information and pose it to rock stars who I'm already working with rock stars, but take it to people who aren't necessarily my primary participants, like Nico Case, who's we're doing an interview with in December. We just spoke to Allison from Bratmobile. She's got opinions. Margaret Cho expressed interest, and folks like that as we go further down the rabbit hole. And hopefully find, I'd love to talk to Missy Elliott. I'd love to talk to Cardi B. That'd be a fun one. Like there's all
Mm.
kinds of musicians in hip hop and rock all over the place who are our age, who were also early 90s game changers, people who were, making music. I mean, Missy Elliott was in Lilith Fair, for God's sake. It's like that's the generation of women that are really firmly in fucking perimenopause and menopause now. So I'm looking at kind of those three parts of the film, kind of combining like a rock documentary, a personal documentary, an expose, political expose, all kind of together to form, I think, what's going to be like a really fun punk rock kind of take on what is perimenopause and menopause. What does it look like if you're a creative person, which I think relates to everybody, because everybody wants energy, everybody wants creative energy, right? We all want to feel like ourselves again. And I think modeling it through musicians, for me, is such a it just really clicks. A, because I'm a musician myself. And B, I really believe that Gen X is over doctors. Like, we don't fucking trust doctors because most of them gaslight us. Like, half my friends are like, I went to a doctor and they just left me out of the room. I have 10 symptoms. They were like, well, I don't know. Good luck. Take some Advil. I mean, like, we get talked out of it. So I believe that Gen X trusts musicians way more than doctors.
Yeah,
So
I'd go with
my
that.
theory is that if I can get this message out there with musicians through pop culture, we can like I look, Cassie, I want to start a fucking revolution. Bottom line. I'm just going to be clear. My goal is to change the face of medicine in midlife for women. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but my hope is that I can bring a lot of people with us and we can turn Menopunks into a movement that's worldwide, that is really speaking to women and people with ovaries and all the people that support and love those women, which is more than half the population. Look, the assholes are a tiny fucking amount of people. They're all making our lives miserable right now, but they are not the majority. And look, I know and you know that without our hormones, we're a fucking disaster. You give us those hormones, you're going to pry them out of our cold fucking dead hands. And guess what? After being on those hormones, we know what they're afraid of. They're afraid of us at our full power. So it kind of makes sense why they would want us disempowered for the past 23 years. So they'd have time for Project 2025, and all these other stupid things. Like they need to be crafty and evil and like, figure out how to destroy the world. Well, when women are checked out, who are the smartest, most like on top of empathy and everything else, it's easier to be evil.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How different would the world look if women had been getting the hormones that they need for
I
for
mean,
the past however many years?
40%, think about that. 40% of women in 2002 were hormonally optimized. Within 2 years, it went way down below three. Women were ripped off their hormones. They got themselves off. They were terrified. And here's another disturbing irony that I'll just throw at you, and then we should. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. But like, here's something that just blew my mind. This dude who ran the WHI, he wound up being named, he was on Charlie Rose. He was touted as this hero, basically. And he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in 2006, 4 years later. And this blew my mind. Like, I found the article and it was like, who would have thought women would have needed a man to save them from themselves? And here we are, 23 years later, having to fight for our health and reclaim hormonal health care. It's bananas.
Thank you so much for doing this. I want to see this film now.
I know.
How far are you from the target of
Well,
making finishing this film off?
I think the film itself's not going to probably come out till 2007. I mean, 2007. Oh my God, 2027. I've lost 20 years. It's going to come out in 2027, but here's what we're doing to make information, because I realize all of that and I don't want women to wait. We have midterms next year. We have political strife, stupid asshole wars being waged, cruelty being like dispersed in a way that is just breaking all of our hearts daily. So we're starting a podcast next month. And in that podcast, I'm interviewing a lot of the same people that I've been interviewing in the film. And we're having longer, more sort of relaxed conversations about all of this. So I've already spoken to Allison from Bratmobile. I've got Gillian Hanner, just did one with her. I'm talking to Corin on Monday. I'm talking to the doctors. I'm talking to like my friend Nikki, who's an amazing menopause specialist who actually survived estrogen positive breast cancer and is still a hormone advocate. She's on hormones. I think there's a lot of questions that women have about, is it safe for me if I have a history of cancer? Is it safe for me or a history of cancer in the family? Or is it safe for me if I had cancer? Is it safe for me for a million different reasons? Because we've been indoctrinated with the lies. It's really hard to know what the truth is. And we're living in such a nightmarish state of disinformation across the board, whether it's political or personal. We've got AI. It's a nightmare. So we need information and we need it now. So, Menopunks, like I have an Instagram, we're like over 9,000 followers. We want to just continue to build the shit out of that. And I am like an incessant poster of good shit. I'm finding all the good stuff in terms of like somebody asks a question, I find something about like cancer and hormones. Somebody asks a question about something else, I find it and I put it through the social media channels. So we're on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook for that, even though I hate them all and they're owned by assholes. Use them until they pry them out of our cold dead hands, just like hormones, right? That's my theory. And more importantly, I'm starting a podcast with Ruinous Media next month that will immediately deliver help and tips. Like, I don't want to sit on this. Like, this isn't a normal movie where, ooh, we're going to keep our climax secret. No, motherfuckers. I want you to know this right now. With the film, I'm gonna, put it together in a way that really makes it incredibly easy to disseminate and become a pop culture phenomenon, right? Like movies do something that other things do not, right? And it'll be fun because I've made a million music videos. So the way I'm going to make this movie will have the same energy as that, right? And the same humor as the humor that I put in my other work, right? Like, so it's not going to be a boring movie. But in the meanwhile, the podcast will begin next month. So people can sign up for that as soon as we have it done. I'm waiting for art. That's all. And then sign up on all the socials and kind of pay attention that way. And we have a mailing list through our website as well. So we're really like actively trying to inform people immediately. But yes, as we go along, there'll be more teasers. We're doing a series of concerts called Menopunkapalooza. We just had our
Oh,
first one
amazing.
last week with Team Dresch headlining and my band Party Witch opening. It's sold out. And I've realized I'm becoming like the Tony Robbins of like punk rock menopause. And I got up there, took a beta blocker, and kind of talked about a lot of the things I'm talking about now, and really, just trying to inspire people to, to really seek out the truth about hormone replacement therapy and understand what their options are. Because I'm not saying everybody should be on HRT, but I'm certainly saying everybody should know the truth about HRT. And then if it's good for you, get the fuck on it and start feeling better and tell your friends, because we have to create another tidal wave to get our strength back as a generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to find out more about Menopunks, it's just at Menopunks online.
Yep, at Menopunks on Instagram, menopunks.com. Everything's there if you want to find out more information. We're always having fundraisers. We have tax deductible donation stuff going on. Like we're in the position to take your money because we really want to make this film, because right now it's literally still just all my credit card, which is crazy because this is not just a movie. Like it's somehow turning into an empire because Menopunks can be so many things. It's a clothing brand, I don't know, like it's going to be a podcast. It's everything. I want it to be all those things because I really think that, middle-aged women, we need a fucking break and we need a source of power. And I think like, just like you said, Cassie, you immediately were like, Yes, in one word, I know I am a metapunk. I know this. I same. As soon as I hit upon it, I was like, "Oh my God, has anybody thought of this? I can't believe they haven't." And here we are, just like 4 months later. It's kind of bananas.
Tell me about Party Witch as well. You mentioned Party Witch, your band. How long have you been going? Or is this a band that's kind of built on other bands? Or...
Sort of. Party Witch, we started in like 2019, 2018, I think, that got spawned out of another band I won't talk about. But it started just as me and my friend, my best friend, Shauna Gore, who's an amazing comic book editor. She's also a badass punk rock drummer. And she and I were just like trying to like wash the other band out of our hair that we were both in. And we started this band just together called Party Witch. And it was just me on synthesizer and occasional accordion and lead vocals and her on drums. And we just wrote a ton of songs. We just was like, it was pure, like, just like, fucking yah-yahs forward. We had to just get it out of our system. You know what I mean? And so we started writing songs, and we made an EP. And recently we have another EP in the works. But it's so weird because in 2020, we released the EP in like late March, of 2020. Remember what was
Oh,
happening in late March of
yeah, that's not a great time to launch anything.
So we released our EP right when COVID just like really exploded, and so it got completely lost, which is a super big bummer. But here's the crazy thing: the songs that we wrote then, especially a couple of them, were so prescient that they make more sense now than they did even 5 years ago. There's a song maybe you can play on the show called Greta, which is about Greta Thunberg, who I am just, such a supporter of. And right now she's on the flotilla trying to give aid to Gaza, which is such a big deal. And we all want to see her succeed and her flotilla peeps succeed because people, they really need the aid. And there's so many assholes trying to make things difficult. I won't get into the specifics. We all know it. But look, the song Greta was really like a psychic premonition of this because when we wrote it, it didn't make any sense. It just was, we channel when we play, just like a lot of musicians, we are jamming and I am creating lyrics on the fly through my head. And then we record everything and turn it into songs later. That's how we do it. That's how our process works. I'm not like a sit down and write person. I'm a do it all, pump it out of the psychic brain and then catch it and figure out how it makes sense. Well, Greta was one of those songs. And it's all about her being on a boat trying to give food to starving people and being stopped from doing that. What the fuck? So that's what that song's about. And then another one from that EP called Ruler is about like, coming into your own power and realizing that you can change the world. And so, like channeling your witch power, channeling your rock and roll power, channeling your psychic power and changing the world. And so, I wanted to change it in 2019, 2018, but I want to change it even more now, especially now that I feel better and I'm on HRT. So yeah, so we call ourselves a witch wave power trio. We have a third person now, a bass player named Kitten Adventure, who's amazing. And the three of us are making crazy music. And now the new songs we have, I think they qualify as like fight songs and sort of reflections of doom songs. But we have a song that I hope you can play called Fall in Line, which is a totally fucking finger up the arse to all of the dick fucks. Hopefully you
I
can
can
bleep.
play it, but I can't broadcast what you just said.
Can you bleep me?
I
Just
can
bleep me.
bleep. I can do a lot of bleeping because it was
I want you
beautiful,
to play me, but
eloquently.
bleep
Yeah,
the bleep out of me because I like to cuss. I should be not cussing because I forgot this is the radio. But
it's
so if you
fine.
hear
I
if
love the
you
cuss.
if you hear a lot of bleeps, know that those are loving bleeps because I speak with no filter. But yeah, so now Party Witch, I think that we're making the best songs we've ever made. I know that I'm at the height of my musical power, which is wild because I was always such a imposter syndrome kind of musician, and now I'm like, who cares about that? Like we're in our 50s, like who cares? Like does it even like it's already against all odds. So let's just do what we're going to do and not care about that. So now we're making, I think, better songs. They're really razor sharp right into the zeitgeist moment of what we're all afraid of and what we're dealing with, what we need strength for. And I'm hoping that the music we're making gets heard by others and ultimately like helps people feel stronger and more focused about the fight that we're in, and helps people feel empowered because I really feel like both Menopunks and Party Witch, everything I do really is focused toward empowerment, not just of myself, which is obviously the first line of defense is making yourself feel better. But I'm also really focused on really trying to, in this phase of my life, help other people feel better too. Like I'm a shareaholic, Cassie. I want everybody to feel as good as I feel now, right? I didn't think it was possible. So if it's possible, why can't we all do it, right?
Absolutely. I feel empowered just by speaking to you today. Thank you so much. You're such a force of energy and goodness. And this is wonderful. Huge good luck with the Menopunks project. I'm going to be following and helping as much as I can in my own little way. Starting by buying the hell out of that t-shirt because I mean it's even my colors. Purple is just it's beautiful. It's perfect.
I
Um,
love it.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you. Well, I'll
Thanks,
I'll
Cassie.
play your music now.
Yeah, play some music, get loud with it. And I mean, I just will end with saying, you know, anybody who's listening, any menopunk who identifies that way, you have the power. Just because they tell you that you don't, they're wrong. They're trying to make problems where there are none. They're trying to take away our autonomy and our power because they think that they can. But guess what? They're wrong. So, by you making music, by you participating in society and politics, by you seeking out hormonal optimization and healthcare that helps increase your quality of life, you can be a truly productive member of the revolution because that is what's next. It's revolution now, Menopunk style, right, Cassie? Just like Riot Girl.
Oh, that's that's beautiful. That's your next t-shirt.
Oh, it's coming. Hormonally radicalized is next, and then hormone replacement. I'm now like this is how I'm now become a merch fiend. Like I'm like this is how I could have a life if I sell merch. So anyway, it's all a new thing. I'm becoming a merch person. But anyway,
Yeah,
thank you so
yeah,
much for taking
I'm
the
there
time
for it.
to talk to me and to shine a little light on Menopunks. I really, the plan ultimately is to actually tour with Menopunks and to do Menopunkapaloozas all over the world with bands from different areas, as well as bands maybe from Portland, and have there be information fairs where people can get information about menopause specialists and all kinds of other support for them. So like we'll see you. Look, we're going to tour the film and we're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
tour music at the same time. So we'll be in the UK. It will happen. It might not be till 2027, but we'll be there, and I'm here for it.